Hello and welcome to On the Clock, presented by WorkStream. If you care about hiring, managing, and paying hourly workers, this podcast is for you. I'm Daniel Blazer, and today we're clocking in with Jean Grossman, president at Maids, and Laura Scavone, chief people officer at Smoothie King. We discuss the factors that create a good relationship between franchisees and franchisors and how technology fits into the mix. We also talk about how franchisees and franchisors can better collaborate around hiring and retention. Enjoy! Thank you to both of you for being here, and I'm really excited to chat today. I'd love to hear, to kick things off, what makes the franchise space so special? Why is it the place that you want to be at this chapter in your career? Laura, let's start with you.
For me personally, watching franchisees, even just I get to see it from the very beginning. I see from that very first discovery day when they come into the office to learn more about our brand, and just the passion, excitement, and their purpose and the reason why behind their wanting to start businesses is what I connect with. Because being in HR, I care about passion, I care about drive, and that's all I see. Like, you're not going to be a successful franchisee if you don't possess those skill sets. So I think that's why I've connected so well with the franchise space, is just those pieces of it that come to life.
Yeah, I like that. How about you, Jean?
Yeah, I think it gives you the opportunity to be a part of something bigger than yourself. So even if you're on the corporate side, you usually have a business unit that you run, and that's kind of your main focus. Here, with me, I have the opportunity to work with hundreds and hundreds of franchisees. I love, I get stories weekly from clients that we've cleaned their homes, or frontline employees, about how they made a difference in people's lives. And I think just being a part of that is something that you don't get when you're kind of in your own zone. So I love it. I've been doing it for a long time, and I wouldn't do anything else.
Yeah, I like that a lot. My next question, I've had a lot of conversations between franchisees, franchisors, and one word that I keep hearing as far as how you would describe the ideal relationship between both parties is the word partnership. Do you agree with that being the right descriptor? Why or why not? And maybe we start with you this time, Jean.
Yeah, I think my legal team would get on top of me for calling a franchisee a partner, because
legally,
legally. But I think everybody coming into that, it's the right vernacular, right? Because this is a relationship, and it's a give and take, and it's not going to be 50-50 all the time. But together, first, I know it's corny, but together we're better, right? And so coming up with those resolutions to issues that are system-wide, I can't do that on my own, right? So I think partnership, relationship, all those kind of things are the right word. I think you get into the other side of the equation if you manage the business by the franchise disclosure document, or you say you have to do it because it's in your contract, or things like that. I think the most successful brands probably say, yeah, it's a partnership.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I've said this before, but I firmly believe that one can't exist without the other. You've got franchisees that are entrepreneurs, some of them quite literally putting every single penny they've ever earned into this brand because their driving goal and driving spirit is to be an entrepreneur and a business owner. So they partner with the franchisor to make that happen, and then vice versa. Franchisors don't exist without the franchisees. So it's almost, I don't even know the word to describe it, but it's a whole nother level of partnership and almost a dependency, if you will, because one can't exist without the other in that brand.
Yeah, it reminds me of watching a nature documentary and talking about a symbiotic relationship, right? All right, next question. So as you know, WorkStream is all about recruiting, hiring, retaining hourly workers. What is the best way for franchisees and franchisors to partner, if we want to use that word again, around those responsibilities of the business?
The biggest piece is education, like I said before. I think that a franchisee has to understand what you're bringing to the table, what the value is, and what the solution is. They don't comprehend it. And so I think that's a huge piece of being successful is getting them there to understand. Even like take Workstream, for example, the thing, like even just the electronic onboarding that you offer, like I don't think franchisees realize what a significant time saver that can be for them. Not only time, but also just compliance, right? You're making sure that the documentation is correct. We talked earlier about I-9s and W-4s and things like that. And even in just then the retention of those documents, like I could go on and on and on. But so I think the main point is educating them to what this tool is going to do for them. And then I think once they see that, that's when they become fans. And that's why Smoothie King partnered with you, right? We had these franchisees that were mind blown that once they switched to Workstream, how much it changed their life, not only from an efficiency perspective, but also cost from recruiting. Like they've talked about how they've never had to boost another role again on Indeed because they can solely rely on Workstream as the tool. But they didn't know that until they knew that, right?
Yeah, I think the expertise in most franchise systems around HR, compliance, even to your point, how long do you have to keep your documents for? Mm-hmm. How do they have to be kept locked up? All that kind of stuff. Being able to automate that for franchisees is great. So as a franchisor, it's our responsibility to educate them on, hey, we have this platform that we think is going to be useful for you, and this is why, and support you guys in that way. And I think, it never goes from 0 to 100, but it's like, how do you get the franchisees excited? And then, frankly, in my role, I would let the franchisees tell the franchisees why they should use it. Mm-hmm. I mean, they know each other. It's the way to go.
All right. So this is kind of a related question, but how about new technology? Whether it's a new platform, a new tool, is it the franchisor that's identifying those and then sharing them with the franchisee? Is it the other way around? Is it meeting in the middle? What have you seen work the best when it comes to identifying and implementing new tech?
Yeah, I think it's understanding what platforms you currently have and where the gaps are, because we could get bombarded with, especially now with all the new technology and platforms, and every franchisee has a favorite. So it's like identifying where the gaps are, whether it's we have an existing platform that needs to perform better or whatever. But I would say that the majority of ideas of, hey, we should look into this technology comes from the franchise system. And then we just have to evaluate it with them to make sure it's right for the entire brand and who's going to benefit from, how they're going to benefit, and make sure that it works for both the vendor and for the franchisor and the franchisee. Yeah.
I would say at Smoothie King, in our example, the franchisees were the one that came to me and said, we want to partner with Workstream. And I think the biggest piece for corporate franchisors in this space is that you can't just rely on the franchisees. Not that they're wrong, but like to what Jean said, you have to make sure that it's a program or a system or process that applies or will help the entire system. So there's a pretty significant vetting process from the franchisor perspective, because we can't get it wrong. Oh my goodness, if I sign an MSA and I'm endorsing it as the franchisor, and then our franchisees have a bad experience, that is coming directly back to me. Whether I just gave it to them as an option, whether I just said, hey, you came to me and all I did was sign the MSA, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, I'm the one that's going to be held accountable for that. So we do a pretty significant vetting process before we move forward with a partner.
All right, I have one more question for both of you. A lot of people that listen to this podcast, maybe some of them are existing franchisees, but I know a lot of them are also, they're working for a franchisee and they have this goal that somewhere down the road, they will own their own restaurant, their own, group of restaurants. What advice or recommendations would you give to those people?
I love Henry Ford. If you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. The thing with owning a franchise business, or any business for that matter, is, and franchise is great because you have support in areas, but really evaluating and looking in the mirror and understanding what you know and what you don't know. Whether it's, I'm really good at marketing, but I'm not great at ops. I'm really good at HR, but I'm not good at business acumen, right? And so going into a franchisor and telling us that to begin with, then we could help support you in the places that you have gaps. Or if you're hiring a manager we could help you with identifying the characteristics that you might want to hire a math wizard or a financial analyst, that's really good at that, so that we could bring people together so that you're successful, because that's the name of the game, right? So making sure that everybody's successful.
I agree with that. And if I think of my own world at Smoothie King, we have team members all the time that raise their hands and say they would love to be a franchisee someday. So the encouragement I give to them is learn everything that they can, leverage their resources, especially on the franchisor side. Let's say you're an employee of a franchisee and you've got resources through that franchisor that you can leverage to learn and grow as much as you want, to then be able to help you build your own business in the future. So just leverage what's at your disposal would be my recommendation.
Thank you for listening to On the Clock. For more info, visit workstream.us/podcast. Until next time, we're clocking out.